Hello everyone. This is a continuation of the previous two videos on Convention on Human Rights and Biomedicine. In my previous video, we have already covered Articles 1, Article 2, Article 3 and Article 4. In today's video, we are going to see Chapter 2 that talks about consent, that is Article 5 onwards. Now see, Article 5 of this convention says that if there is any kind of intervention in the health field, right? Now, see, intervention means that, we are doing something on the human body, right, to cure a disease, to prevent a disease. So we are giving that person any kind of medical treatment, right? So that is called an intervention. So see, Article 5 says that, when any kind of intervention is done in the health field, right, on that person, so that person has to give free consent, right? That, okay, I consent that this intervention can be done upon me, right? So this kind of consent should come from that person on whom the intervention in the health field has to be carried out, right? And that has to be an informed consent. It means that the person who is giving the consent has been informed about the intervention that is going to be done on that person's body, right? That person should know that, okay, fine, these are the interventions that, I have to undergo, right? So he has to give an informed and free consent. All right. So this person, before giving the consent, he must have appropriate information and knowledge regarding the purpose of the intervention, regarding the nature of the intervention, and any kind of risk that is associated with this intervention. What will be the consequence of this intervention? Okay, so this person should be informed about it, and then only this person can give an informed and free consent, right? Now see, please remember that this person who is giving the consent can withdraw any time, right? He can freely withdraw consent whenever he thinks, right? That means at any time the consent of this person can be withdrawn. Now see, Article 6 talks about protection of persons not able to consent. All right. See, intervention can also be carried out on a person, who lacks the capacity to give consent, right? Maybe the person is a minor, or he's suffering from mental illness, etc. Right? He's a lunatic. So, intervention is necessary for the person's benefit, right? For his or her benefit. But the point is that, he does not have the capacity to consent, right? So what happens according to Article 6, if a minor, right, if an intervention has to be carried out on a minor person and that minor does not have the capacity to consent to an intervention, right, then please remember that, intervention can be done only when, you know the person who is representing that minor, right, or who has the authority towards that person has given consent. Once that representative or authorized person gives the consent, only then intervention can be carried out on a minor person, right? Now suppose if there is a major person, right, an adult for example, but that adult is suffering from a mental disability, he does not have the consent capacity to give the consent. Now what? Right? Now see, in these cases, intervention can be carried out only by the authorization or representation of a person, or of a body who is taking care of that adult person, right? Only that person can give the consent, that individual, maybe that representative, the authority, or anyone who on his behalf will give the consent, right? And of course, the consent can be withdrawn at any time again in the best interest of that person. Okay, now see, let's talk about Article 7, that is trying to give protection of persons who have a mental disorder, right? See, as per section 7, if there is any person who has a mental disorder and that mental disorder is of a very serious nature, okay, and that person, is not in the condition to give his or her consent, right? But an intervention is very necessary to treat that mental disorder, right? Otherwise there can be serious harm, and there can also be you know uh, serious harm to that person's health. In that case, intervention can be carried out you know without that person's consent also, right? But please remember that is subject to laws and supervisory control and appeal procedures. All right. Now see, article 8 talks about emergency situations. See, if any kind of emergency situation arises, right, comes into existence, and appropriate consent cannot be taken, right? And at the same time, medical intervention is also necessary. Why? Because there has to be benefit for that person's health, or that individual's health. Benefit has to be seen. Then in that emergency kind of situation, if appropriate consent cannot be obtained, necessary medical intervention can be carried out immediately, only for the benefit of the health of that individual concerned. All right. Now see, article 9 talks about previously expressed wishes. See, this article says that if any person has previously expressed wishes relating to a medical intervention, but now at present time that person is not in a state to express his or her wishes, then the previously expressed wishes will be taken into consideration. So chapter 2 talks about the consent part, how consent can be taken from a person who is a minor, who is an adult but suffering from mental disease, right? Or a person who is not able to give consent in medical emergencies, then what happens, right? Okay. Now in the next video we will see article 10, article 11, article 12 onwards, that talks about private life and the right to information, human genome, right? Intervention on the human genome, scientific research, right? Persons undergoing research and what all protections can be given to that person. So in my next video I'll discuss article 10 onwards. Thank you so much.